Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here, and today we're looking at the M46 Patton. Now, the M46 Patton, I think, is going to be something that will compete with T-54s. Something to keep in mind, though, is we also have the M47 Patton in War Thunder American tanks. But let's go over the basic stats of the M46 Patton. It's got a 90mm gun, and the T-44 has an 85mm gun, and the T-54 has a 100mm gun. So it's kind of right there in the middle. The M46 and M40 Pattons will both have 90mm guns. Its speeds are up to 48 kilometers per hour, which is about 30 miles per hour. Which, let's see, looking at the T-54, the T-54's max speed is 45 kilometers per hour, so it's a little bit faster. The the M46 is going to be a little faster than the T-54, so that should be pretty interesting. And as far as machine guns go, since we're going to have machine guns, it's kind of fun to muse about. The Pattons generally have two 30 caliber machine guns, a hull mounted and a coaxial, and then they can mount a 50 caliber machine gun on the top of the turret. So you got a nice 50 that you can use to shoot at planes, theoretically speaking. And it's got about 100mm of frontal armor. And if you take a look at the T-54, they've got 100mm of frontal armor at a nice 60-degree slope. And there is some sloping on the front of the M46 Patton. So I'm curious if these Pattons are going to be really reliable at dealing with T-54s. I would imagine so, because if you're German and used to dealing with T-54s, this is a nice change of pace. You're not using World War II technology. You know, you're using Korean War technology, the M46, M47 Pattons. Now, something to keep in mind is we're going to look at the T-54 in detail in just a moment, but I wanted to show you some pictures to kind of compare the M46 and M47 Pattons. They both have 90mm guns. They're very similar, but the biggest difference is definitely the front of the turret and the gun mantlet. If you look at the M46, it's got this huge rounded gun mantlet and kind of a square front, you know, a lot of surface area to shoot. And if you look at the M47 Patton, the thing is very streamlined. Its gun mantlet is very small, and there's a lot of angling and rounding at the front of that turret. So it makes it look like it'll be a lot better at dealing with shots from the front. And the M47 Patton should be the tip-top of American tank technology and War Thunder tanks, at least, you know, with what we're familiar with, what they're going to put on the release tree. So now we're going to be looking at the T-54. And there are some areas that the T-54 is pretty superior to the M46 and M47 Pattons, and I think it's just the rounded turret is pretty big. Yeah, I don't think you can speak enough for like how good these rounded turrets are. Just the effective thickness in most cases firing at the front is just so great. You generally feel much safer shooting at the front of the hull. Even at that 60-degree slope, the effective thickness is far less than the gun mantlet and, you know, the armor right adjacent to the gun mantlet, and then just even the rounded sides of this turret. This thing's a pretty beastly tank, and the great thing about these tanks, the T-54s, T-44s, M46, and M47 Pattons, is that they're pretty strong and pretty beefy. They got pretty decent guns, and they're fast and mobile. So that's why, like, main battle tanks, you know, there's not really light and heavy tanks and medium tanks anymore. You've got main battle tanks and supporting tanks nowadays, because you got speed, mobility, and heavy hitting power and pretty decent armor. So I'm pretty excited, because I think it's going to be great to see the Patton tanks go up against, you know, the might of the Soviet tank arsenal, the T-54. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Baron. Let me know what you think about the Patton tanks and how they're going to fare against, you know, the top tier 5 Soviet tanks. Make sure to pull the trigger on that like button, and I'll see you guys soon.